Welcome to Dashing Dish. Fast food is anything but healthy, but there are ways to make it healthier. Our fast food menu includes Skinny Protein Frappuccino, Big Mac Smash Burgers, Baked Sweet and Sour Chicken, and Copycat Wendy's Chili. I'm Katie Farrell. My fast food loving husband is joining me in the kitchen, and we're making our fast food favorites in a healthier way. So today we're starting off with one of my favorite fast food drinks. And I don't know if you'd really call coffee shops fast food, but it kind of is. I mean, now they even have drive-thrus in every coffee shop. So this is gonna be a protein-packed Frappuccino. And what I love about it is it has 20 grams of protein just for one drink. So that's really good. And I usually have it for breakfast or a protein-packed snack. For this recipe, you'll need a half cup of cottage cheese, 1 tablespoon of protein powder, 2 teaspoons of sweetener, 1 tablespoon of instant coffee, 8 ice cubes, and 3/4 cup of water. So I'm gonna start with the star, which is cottage cheese, and this adds a ton of protein. I like to make smoothies and protein shakes without even adding protein powder a lot of the times. Just using cottage cheese gives you enough protein. And then we're gonna add some protein powder, instant coffee, and if you don't have instant coffee, you could also swap out the water in this recipe for chilled or just brewed coffee that you made earlier in the day. And then some sweetener, and then ice. Now the recipe, I called for 8 ice cubes, but really you can just kind of eyeball it. It can be anywhere from a cup to a cup and a half of ice. Now you might be thinking, how is cottage cheese gonna taste like a Frappuccino? It blends right in, it makes it creamy and thick and smooth. You have to try it, it is so good. Then I'm gonna add just a little bit of water, just enough to get it blended. You don't wanna overdo the water or else you won't be able to go back and take it out. So just add a little bit at a time. You can add more if you need it. All right, so that looks perfect. You can see how rich and creamy that looks. It is so good. And I also have tried different variations of this, so you could add a little bit of cinnamon to it. You could add caramel extract to make a caramel version. I've even done like a pumpkin version where I add a little bit of pumpkin puree when it's fall, so you can kind of make it your own. How good does that look? And this is what I love about fast food at home. You can make it with tons of nutrition, protein even, and it's just as delicious as it is good for you. All right, so my husband is joining us today, and I would not have a fast food show without my husband, Sean. He's just,
that bad?
When I think of fast food, I think of you. No, truly, when I met you, you were fast food addicted, I think.
Was that?
I mean, maybe you just block it from your memory because it was so bad. But we're gonna actually switch it back onto me. We're gonna switch it back onto me, and we're gonna make one of my college days favorite fast food thing. Do you know what it is?
Wendy's chili.
How do you know?
Yeah, I remember you had a thing for Wendy's chili.
Yes.
You won't touch it now.
It's so gross to think about how I went to Wendy's every day between classes, and I got a Wendy's chili. Here's what's gross. And I got a salad. And I put the chili on the salad and then broke up a bunch of saltine crackers and ate it with, and I think why it's gross is I think about the salad just being so soggy from the hot chili, and I'm like, what was I thinking?
I remember your ketchup on salad.
Yeah, I did a lot of strange things with salads, apparently. So we're making one of my former favorite fast foods, which is Wendy's Copycat Chili, and it's much healthier when you make it at home, let me tell you. For this recipe, you'll need 3/4 cup of onion, 1 tablespoon of minced garlic, 1 1/4 pound of lean ground meat, 1 can of tomato sauce, 1 can of tomato paste, 1 can of kidney beans, 1 can of pinto beans, 1 can of diced tomatoes, 1 can of diced green chilies, 2 stalks of celery, a 1/4 cup of bell peppers, 2 teaspoons of cumin, 2 tablespoons of chili powder, 1 teaspoon of salt, a 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, and a 1/2 cup of water. So Sean, I'll have you dice up this celery. When I say dice, I just mean like
Julianne.
small pieces about that size. And then I'll have you cut the onion and the bell pepper.
Yeah, we have very, okay.
You got that?
Cut, I've never cut those.
Okay.
Onion, do we have a
I'll help
mask
you.
or something for that?
I'll help you with that. And then to the ground beef, and you could use ground turkey or chicken as well. We're gonna add some cumin. What I love about chili is you can season it really however you want. Honestly, I do so much seasoning in my chili. I don't measure anything out when I'm cooking just at home. I literally just dump chili seasoning in and just all my favorite seasonings. Yeah, I just put so much seasoning because I feel like chili, you really can't go wrong. The only thing you could maybe go too wrong.
Too much salt.
Salt.
Yeah.
Too much salt is not gonna be a good thing.
Can't fix that.
So you definitely wanna cook off your meat in a saute pan before adding it to a crock pot. This is gonna be a crock pot version, which I love because it's super easy. So we're gonna add the ground meat after we cook it to the crock pot, along with our veggies.
Am I gonna cry?
No.
No.
So just cut off the ends of the onion.
Like an apple.
This is good practice for you. There you go.
Flatten it.
Okay, well, you can cut off the other end because then it's easier to peel the outer edge. So, yeah, good job.
Like that?
Yep. And then what I do is I just take the knife and I just kind of
Oh dear.
slice into the outer part of the onion, and then you can just peel it off easier. I should have done this part, for you in advance. All right, so there you go. Now that you got the outer part off, then you can kind of just cut into it and dice it up. Okay.
Like middle?
Yeah. Good job. Look at you. You got the hand skills, the wrist going.
Until I cut my finger off.
Good. You're doing good. Okay, so you do want to cut the onion, the celery, the bell pepper. Okay. Yep. Okay. Don't try and get fancy. Fine enough that you would actually want to eat it. Just think about that. Like, would I want to eat this large of a chunk of an onion? That's kind of how I think when I'm adding veggies to any kind of dish is like, how big do you actually want to take a bite of that veggie? So I'm going to add the meat and the celery to the crock pot. Okay, so I'll add the onion to the crock pot. And you want to add the seasoning to the ground beef while it's cooking in the saute pan. A lot of people don't realize that if you can cook a seasoning in a saute pan before adding it to a dish, or a crock pot in this case, it is going to bring out the most flavor when you cook your seasonings in a saute pan. Heating them up in a saute pan is like the best thing for a seasoning. Okay, so now we're going to cut up our bell pepper. So I'm just gonna do it the way that I do it and just kind of show you. But there's multiple ways. People do bell peppers all different ways. So just cut a bell pepper however you like. But I just cut around the stem and then I cut it in half so it's easier to cut. Just like that. You wanna finish it or you want me to?
How big? Like
however big of a bite you would wanna take of a bell pepper. So like.
It's spongy or
well,
it's hard. It's way harder than I thought it was.
Flip it the other way. I had a feeling that this dicing would go exactly how it's going. You're doing great. And then I'm gonna start adding things. I'm gonna start adding the canned goods to our crock pot. So we have some diced tomato.
Those look big.
Yeah, go ahead and cut them one more time through. We have kidney beans and pinto beans, which is classic to Wendy's chili. We did drain those ahead of time. And diced green chilies. You could even do jalapenos if you like your chili to be more spicy. And then tomato paste, Now tomato paste, you can just do a little bit or you can do a lot. For this recipe, I called for the entire can because it really does add a lot of flavor. So in a recipe, I usually just use the whole can, even if it calls for like a tablespoon, just because it really does add a lot of bold flavor. Those need to be a little bit smaller.
I'm gonna cut myself.
Okay.
If I keep going, so.
You can add the minced garlic.
Just one
Yep.
tablespoon?
Yep.
Okay.
To the crock pot.
Okay.
So we're gonna add those to the crock pot. You wanna add those?
Okay.
And then I'll kind of stir everything together. And why I love crock pot meals is then you just set it and forget it. And you can either cook this on high for 4 to 6 hours or low for 8 to 12 hours. I like to make big batches of chili right before church, and then we're gone until it's ready to eat. So I usually set it on high, and it's ready right when we get home from church. So, but this is loaded with protein, fiber, all the good stuff. So it's gonna make you feel really good and satisfied all day long. Coming up next, who doesn't love Chinese? But with it comes calories that we don't want or need. I have the answer with my baked sweet and sour chicken to rival any takeout. All right, so next we're gonna make a recipe that I was thinking about you. So we did the chili for me. This one is reminding me of you. Except for you might not have fond memories because I think when you got it at a fast food, you had food poisoning. But you're not gonna get it here at home. That is another blessing of cooking at home,
true.
okay?
Yeah.
You can prevent food poisoning. Well, you can get it at home, but just, you know,
depends on who's cooking.
Follow the rules, follow the rules. Wash your hands after you touch chicken and whatnot. For this recipe, you'll need 1 pound of chicken, 2 eggs, 1 cup of arrowroot powder, 3/4 cup of sweetener, a 1/4 cup of ketchup, a 1/2 cup of apple cider vinegar, 1 tablespoon of soy sauce, and 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. And I have an air fryer in my oven, so it actually could be done in the air fryer as well. And I actually prefer that method. So if you have an air fryer, I would pull that out rather than the oven, but both will work great. So we have our chicken here that we already cut up, and Sean, you're gonna just whisk up 2 eggs and then put the arrowroot powder or cornstarch works.
Okay.
It's just a more natural form of cornstarch in this bowl. So cornstarch, 2 eggs whisked. Then you're gonna dip the chicken in the eggs, the cornstarch mixture, then put it on the pan.
Whew.
Okay, you got it, you got it. And then I'm gonna make the sauce because it wouldn't be sweet and sour chicken without a sauce.
You want me to start now?
Go for it.
Okay.
So to a small saucepan, I am going to add some sweetener. Woo, that's an already hot pan. Some ketchup. Hopefully, oh, we might be burning. We might be burning. Hang on, let's see. Yeah, it was just that it was too hot when I added the sweetener. Okay.
Caramelization.
Yeah, that's right. So sweetener, ketchup, apple cider vinegar.
Oh.
Ooh.
Whoa.
We're both splashing all over town right now. And we're gonna do a tablespoon of soy sauce. And we're gonna do a 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder. But if you like more garlic, you can always do a little bit more of that. You can't go wrong with garlic. So we're just gonna whisk this and kind of continue to whisk it until it thickens up. So I'm just gonna whisk it over like medium heat. And you can do this alongside of the chicken while you're kind of making the chicken. Just, you know, every now and then, just give it a good whisk so it doesn't stick to the bottom while it's thickening. Or you could even make the sauce while the chicken is in the oven. All right, Sean, how's it going? You're doing good.
It's great. It's like a little assembly line.
You're doing good.
This feels like this is such a weird texture.
Yeah, so the cornstarch or arrowroot powder in this case actually is what gives the chicken its kind of crispy coating. And it seems like a little strange, like that you just dip chicken in egg and then cornstarch essentially. But
Well,
It really is the tried and true way to do sweet and sour chicken. It's the way to do it. And you could, ultimately the best way to make this is put this in a saute pan directly after coating it so that it gets nice and crispy on the outside. But that's why I use an air fryer, because an air fryer does the same thing as a saute pan that you're cooking in oil. So it's gonna make it nice and crispy on the outside without using oil in a saute pan. So this is looking good. It's kind of bubbling up, and that's how you know that it's gonna thicken up on you. And you do wanna make sure that it doesn't overflow, so kind of keep an eye on the heat. If it starts to boil up like that, then you'll wanna turn down the heat just a little bit. All right, Sean, you can go ahead and finish up that chicken. When it's ready, we'll put it in the oven, 425 degrees for 20 to 25 minutes. And then when we come back, we're gonna go ahead and put the sauce over the chicken when it comes out of the oven. So the sauce looks really good. It thickened up really nicely. I just had it boiling for a couple extra minutes while I put the chicken in the oven, and then I turned it off and it thickened up perfectly. So this is really what you want, is the sauce to be nice and thick so it can coat the crispy chicken. And I would recommend putting the sauce on right when you're ready to eat it. Don't put it on in advance because it'll just make it really mushy. And then we're gonna go ahead and kind of toss the chicken in the sauce a little bit, just like that. And you can even use your hands and just get in there. It's my favorite kitchen tool.
Just kidding.
It is. It's much, much easier to do it sometimes just with your hands. All right, so then we'll go ahead and put them on a plate. How good does this look?
It looks amazing.
Doesn't look like it'll give you food poisoning.
I mean, was that a question?
No.
Oh.
It was rhetorical. All right, that looks so good.
It smells great.
And we're making a huge mess, but we'll clean it all up so it'll look nice and pretty. Coming up next, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, all that sesame bun, you guessed it. Big Macs are on the menu with a healthy twist for our favorite burger. All right, so we're gonna finish up with a fast food recipe that you actually asked me to make at home.
Yeah.
Do you know what it is?
Something with beef, maybe a burger.
All right, there you go. So you had a smash burger at a restaurant and you were like, oh my gosh, this is my favorite way to enjoy a burger.
Yeah.
And he was trying to tell me how to make it. And he's like, and I was like, can you explain like why it's so good? Like what makes it different from a regular burger? And do you want to explain?
I feel like it's just like skinnier, but it's like also like charred a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it has like texture, which is my thing.
So when I first made them at home, I just then thought, oh, it's just a skinnier burger. So I just pressed them down as much as I could when I made them, and I just thought they just have to be skinny, thin burgers. But actually, when I did a little bit more research, I found out that what makes a smash burger different from a regular burger is that you actually use something too heavy to push it down. So it could be a cast iron skillet, it could be the bottom of a measuring cup, a metal measuring cup, anything that's not gonna obviously light on fire when you're cooking the burger on the skillet. But it essentially is just something heavy that's really pushing it down. And then you wanna use really high heat. So I like to use my griddle for this, but a cast iron skillet would also be really good. And you just want it to be super high heat so that it kind of chars it, just like you said, and makes it a little crispy on the outside and edges. For this recipe, you'll need 1/2 cup of Greek yogurt, 2 teaspoons of mustard, a tablespoon of ketchup, 1/2 teaspoon of white wine vinegar, 1/2 teaspoon of paprika, 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder, and a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder. And for the burgers, you'll need 1 pound of lean ground beef, 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. So Sean, you're gonna make a sauce that's kind of like a Big Mac sauce. So we have Greek yogurt, mustard, ketchup, and white wine vinegar. The only thing you have to measure out is 1/2 teaspoon of white wine vinegar, and you can mix it all in this bowl.
Okay.
Little spatula. And then I'm gonna season the beef, and really it's pretty simple seasoning. Onion powder, paprika, garlic powder, and salt. And I like to use a lot of seasoning whenever I make burgers. That really is what makes them taste so good, is lots of seasoning. So Sean and I don't eat out a whole lot, but when we do eat out, I feel like we do make healthier choices. And we oftentimes choose places that are a little bit more convenient because we have a 2-year-old. So sit-down restaurants are not really our jam right now.
Yeah.
Sitting down in a restaurant
Always got about 10 minutes.
yeah,
maybe.
for an hour is just not really in the cards right now. So we usually do choose really fast places when eating out. So some of the healthier options that we have found are places like Blaze or Mod Pizza. So if you can find a pizza place where you can make your own quick pizzas, we're literally in and out of there in like 30 minutes. So
yeah,
it kind of is, it's pretty much fast food. And then what I like about that is you can choose cauliflower crust pizza. So it makes it a little bit healthier. Usually there's gluten-free as well. So different options for the crust. And then you can just load it up with veggies. And I just do a little bit of Parmesan cheese and tons of veggies. So that's my pizza. And then Qdoba. So there are, at Qdoba, I get a salad with chicken and tons of veggies on it. So I just try to stick to protein and veggies as much as I can when I'm eating out. Not always. Sometimes I enjoy whatever I want. You know, that sounds good even if it's not protein and veggies, but I honestly really do enjoy protein and veggies. So, and it's what makes me feel my best. So that's usually what we do, is we just look for something on the menu, and sometimes I even create my own thing at a restaurant. So I'll just say, can I make my own salad? And usually they say fine. They might not always love me, but they always say yes, and so why not ask? So that's a really good way to kind of get a healthier modification on something that you see on the menu, is just by simply asking and making it your own.
Yeah.
So I'll do burgers, but I'll do a lettuce wrap instead of getting it on a bun. So now we're gonna go over to the griddle and we're gonna smash these burgers down. So we have our burgers, and really you don't even need to make them very thin. I mean, you could even roll them into balls and just leave them as balls if that's easy. And then we're gonna put them on a hot griddle. Or like I said, a cast iron skillet would work really good. You could use a stainless steel skillet as well, but I just really like how hot a griddle gets, and the fact that you can smash them and they can spread out on a griddle. So I just have my pancake griddle here, and I find this works the best. Then I'm gonna take this burger smasher. Now again, you can use a measuring cup, the bottom of a pan, whatever you have that is gonna be safe with heat. But I got this just online and super inexpensive, and it smashes them down really well. Okay, so now we're not gonna touch these. We're gonna let them fully cook on one side. If you keep flipping them over and over, they're not gonna get that crispy char that you want on each side. So I would say, depending on how big the burger is, maybe 2 to 3 minutes on a really hot griddle. If your griddle isn't extremely hot, you might wanna do a little bit more, like 4 minutes. And again, it's also up to you of how you like your burgers cooked. So you could do a little bit less than 2 minutes if you like them a little bit more rare. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and flip these over. You can see how we got that nice kind of crust on that side of the burger. And that's what we're looking for. Now we're gonna finish these up by just letting them cook for a few more minutes on this side, and then we'll top them with our sauce and our buns. Okay, so now I'm gonna take my burgers that I just cooked and I'm gonna top them with some of our sauce. Well, actually I'm gonna put a little bit of the cheese first. So if you have a cheese lover with your burger, then go ahead and put that on first because it's gonna melt on the hot burger. Then we're gonna put some of the sauce on top. And then we will put some pickles. If you like pickles, of course, you could do tomatoes. Now, if this was Sean's burger, he would only have cheese. He wouldn't even put the sauce because there's something about like a sauce on a burger. He likes to dip it in ketchup. So we wouldn't even do the sauce for Sean's burger, but that looks so, so good. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue to make the rest of these burgers, leave the sauce and everything else off for Sean. And then we're gonna go ahead and enjoy them together. Well, Sean, I had so much fun cooking with you today, making all these fast food favorites in a healthier way. Which one's your favorite?
This looks really good, but I think I'm gonna go for the burger.
All right, how about you try the burger?
Is this my burger?
I'm gonna try the chili since it's me bringing me back to my college days, and it looks really good. So everything looks good.
That's a classic Dashing Dish Katie burger.
The chili brings me back. I just need salad and saltine crackers to put over top. But it's been so good to cook with you. I always love cooking with you, especially when I get to watch you cut onions and green bell peppers. It's my favorite part of the whole day.
Me with a knife, never good.
Well, you can definitely make your favorites right at home. There's no need to go through a drive-thru because you saw how quick and easy this was to make at home, and with much better ingredients. So you can find all these recipes at dashingdish.com, where you'll find recipes and more to nourish your body and soul.